Good evening, everyone, and welcome to A Gathering Place, brought to you by the Gullah Geechee Chamber. Usually, Miss Marilyn is here to host, but with the passing of her father, I am stepping in along with probably some other hosts to help Miss Marilyn out during this time, so that she can get some rest and some time to herself. But some good news: we have a special guest today, and his name is Mr. Sheldon Butts of Georgetown, South Carolina. He is a community organizer and civic leader. He's been doing a lot of great things, and we're going to bring him on to talk about community economic development and what we can look forward to. Good evening, Mr. Sheldon. How are you?
Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you this evening?
Doing good. So today,
I want to thank you for having me. First, I want to thank you for actually stepping in for Marilyn during this times of uncertainty. And I know she appreciates you being able to step in and fill that void. And I appreciate you for doing that also.
You're welcome. You are welcome. And thank you so much for taking out the time to come on to the show today and talk about some really good information. I see you've been doing a lot of things online, been posting a lot of good things, interesting things, and getting a lot of feedback about the community. So share with us some things that you've been doing when it comes down to the community economic developments.
Well, the first and one thing that I often try to do on a regular is keep people informed. I don't know who came up with the saying, "What you don't know doesn't hurt," but it is totally the opposite. What we don't know really hurts. So I take a lot of my time and I try to educate people, to inform people of the do's and don'ts, the ins and outs, the whys and where, the who. And as much as I'm able to do that, it keeps enough people in the thought game, and those thoughts eventually comes to ideas, and those ideas usually come to plans, and those plans usually come to fruition.
Yes.
So that's the first thing I do, is I take a lot of my time, Ebony, and try to make sure that people are very much aware of what's going on and how it impacts them from day to day.
Gotcha. So, and that's a community organizer for you. There's so much that's going on right now with the community during this pandemic and even before. What is some information that you think would be pertinent that the people know about that's of the essence right now?
Well, the one thing, and I know everybody is very much in tune with this, is that we are in uncertain times, and the uncertainties are affected at different levels. We in Georgetown, because we are so unique and small and tight knit, the effect has a more profound outlook on how we prosper, and how we're not able to make it through the rough times because of us relying on the things that Georgetown has been made upon, and that's the port activity, and activity with the steel mill and the paper mill and heavy industry.
Yes, and Georgetown has had a long history of, like you said, just even not thinking about them when there was a lumber yard, really, where the steel mill once was. And even the environmental impacts that it's had now, because from what I'm understanding is that underneath all of that, where the steel mill is currently, that there's a lot of pollution that, can it be even remediated at this point? Is there anything that you can say about and how it impacts the environment?
Well, yeah, and I want to make everyone that's under the sound of my voice and your voice to understand that I believe everybody who's a part of Georgetown, bottom line, just wants to see Georgetown thrive. We're in the middle of a county in Horry that's thriving. We're in between a county that in Berkeley that's thriving. We're in between another county, Charleston, that's thriving. And
Mhm.
somehow Georgetown was nestled into the middle of those three that I named, and it's probably a couple of more we're nestled around also. But we have to be able to find what is our niche. What is the one thing that's going to rejuvenate Georgetown? Or do we have what we need, and all we need to do is be able to massage the things that are there with brighter and new ideas that will transcend us into another century?
Another century. So in now that's a really good point to make. So in Georgetown, there's lumber, there's the steel mill, there's the electric company. What in your opinion, what do you think is going to be that next thing that takes Georgetown industry wise to the next level for the next generation, even once we're gone?
I tell you what, that's a tough question, but I do have an answer. The one answer that I can be sure upon is that it has to involve the port. It has to involve us utilizing that unique system that we have. Georgetown has five major river basins flowing into one, into the Winyard Bay, and then eventually into the Atlantic Ocean. And you couldn't dream of another city on the Atlantic coast that has that opportunity to have these smaller bodies of water that dump into a large body of water, and then henceforth the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, that's
And
pretty unique.
yeah, and that's how Georgetown was able to thrive in the past, is having those different avenues of approach through the water highway, and being able to manifest everything that we did, be it local fishermen, be it the industry with the wood, being the industry with the large ships that used to come, and we filled it up with iron ore and made iron from the steel mill, be it the vessels that come through to take the paper out. So Georgetown has always benefit when that port is thriving and a vital part of its going along.
Right. So, and you brought up a good point. Big ships used to come into the port. I know that there's been a lot of sediment because of storms and things of that nature that have filled up the bay. Are there any talks of trying to dredge it so that bigger ships can come in to assist with the industry?
Yes, ma'am, and unfortunately, that's all it is talk. So
Mm.
we have, and I'll give you a little bit of background. I have a lot of knowledge set from not just sitting around and doing nothing. I served on city council for 4 years. When I came back to Georgetown, I was gone for 25 years in the military and working for the federal government.
Thank you
And
for your service.
thank you very much. And I always stayed in tune with Georgetown, looking from afar. So when I came back home, it was no doubt in my mind that I needed to get off the sidelines and try to, again, make people aware of what's going on and not going on. There is the penny sales tax that we had a few years ago.
Right.
One of the main vessels that everybody and their mother voted for, that penny sales tax, was for the dredging of the port.
Hmm.
Somehow, after the monies were collected from the one sales cent tax, the Army Corps of Engineers did a back study instead of doing a front study to see what it would take. They did a back study, and we found out quickly that the money that and when I say we, I'm talking about Georgetown as a county and as a city, that we did not garner enough funds from that 1 cent sale tax to do the dredging that needed to be done, just so that the port would be vital. Um, and we are at about $3.5 million that is short with
Wow.
reference to getting that port dredge. And I can tell you there are leaders at every level that have been making noise, and trying to take our message to Columbia and take our message to Washington, D.C. with reference to this dredging. It's going to be a topic of subject that's going to be on the plate for a while. But Ebony, I promise you that's one of the things we would have to do if Georgetown was going to go forward in the near future.
Well, you know what? And that's exactly what I was thinking. So if the port for many years has been the life source to Georgetown, in order to keep it that way, or really at this point to move it forward, the port is vital. So we're going to have to dredge it. So if they're at least over $3 million short, are they going to be raising taxes in order to try to dredge it? It just seems like there's no other way around getting it done. Getting that port ready is to dredge it. And also, I was told that there was a contract, maybe with the steel mill, being able to help with that. Is that still in the works?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So there are two things on part of that. So it was a matching pot. So the monies that we raised off of the penny sales tax was supposed to be matched by the state and by the federal government, to which neither happened as yet.
Wow.
So theoretically, we have almost $7 million that's out there that's supposed to be utilized for the means of dredging. And once we were able to find a good company in Liberty Steel to purchase the steel mill, that was one of the things that we ensured that we took to the table, is that if you're willing to come here and be a part of our life, we need more than just you being able to bring in revenue for your bottom line. We have to have a bottom line that our communities feel good with. So they did offer to do matching funds also with reference to the port being dredged, because they understand if we're going to get into the meat of where we were, the port again just has to be dredged. There's no other answer for that.
No other way around it. So we have a viewer here, actually. You tell me what you think. Make all trailers get a plate?
I can tell you that is one thing, and I appreciate that comment. And when I made that comment a few times before, when I was active on council, and the mindset of folks sometimes bother me in this city and in this county. But that is one of the main things that we could strive and benefit from, is all of these trucks that are coming into our city and counties and pounding the roads, destroying the roads, and they are benefiting. They're going home at the end of the night. They're going home with their check, or they'll get one at the end of the week. And what do we have here? A bunch of torn up roads and a bunch of torn up vehicles that are destroyed by these same trucks. So I would back that 100% with anybody who's of the mindset of making decisions for us here, that I would actually support putting a tax, a poll tax, a trailer tax on the trucks that are entering and leaving the city and county of Georgetown.
Okay, so help me understand this for a person like me who's kind of looking from the outside in, and I want to put this back up on the screen. It says make all trailers get a plate. All right, so does that mean the trailers that bring in timber? And how will you do that tax? Is it just for local trailers, or how does that work? Any people that are passing through, or what? Is it like a toll when you go to other cities?
it's almost just like if you travel down I-95, you see some of the way stations that they have off to the right.
Yes.
That's strictly for trucks. There
Right.
there are certain there are certain areas within that same system that require trucks to pay a certain toll. Um,
Oh,
for the utilization of the roads, because again, nobody is responsible. The city and the county end up eating a lot of that damage that's done by these companies, and again, they go home at the end of the night, and it's all good for them when they go home. But I know that there's a way that we can pull these tractor trailers that come in, and it would be for the timber. It would be for just about anything that's moving through Georgetown, transversing through Georgetown. That's trying to make the economy better, but leaving out little Georgetown.
oh yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And not only, would that help raise money to clear the port. So it helped again with the roads, because when I come near the bridge and things of that nature, the roads are pretty bad. So you make a good point there. So when it comes down to community economic development, share with us some out of the box ideas, things that we can do to help with the development of our community. What are some ideas you have?
Well, there's a very thin line between economic development and reorganization.
Oh,
Um, Most people, I can honestly say with assurance, and I would believe that you would believe the same, that we have a socioeconomic divide here in Georgetown. Um, that has to be addressed at the forefront of any economic development that will come to fruition in Georgetown. You have to We have to have a area that looks the same, that benefits the same, and that have the people that want to come to, just like they come to the other portions of the city. So the very first thing that we would need to do to address any economic opportunities is to alleviate that socioeconomic divide, and that doesn't come easily. Doesn't
yep.
come easily at all. Um, but just the mere fact that we have leaders that understand that that is a problem, number one, and
Hmm.
not only that it is a problem, but to now put a plan in action to alleviate or to address that divide, then I truly believe that that would be the very first and foremost thing that we would need to do, with and make people understand that the development won't be um, a form of what we know as gentrification. Once we develop and get the area developed to where there is no divide, then we have to make sure that those same people who own those properties and live in those areas and work in those areas, that they have a place to still call home in those areas.
In the
Uh,
areas. You have people, in other words, people are working in areas that they can't even afford to live in. Um,
Correct.
I know that, in Georgetown County, I think the average income for Black and Brown people is about $23,000 a year. That's not enough for people to survive on, and I know that that's a huge issue. So when it comes down to companies such as the Santee Cooper helping or hurting community
In the
economic development.
in the long term, hurting. And I say that because we are in a time frame right now where clean renewable energy is the way forward. And I think that I think Santee Cooper missed the mark with being prepared to go into the realm of clean renewable energy and put all of their eggs in the batch with the nuclear energy, and did not see that that was going to be a thing that's going to be gone here in the very near future. So
Yeah,
so
it's so true. Because in my understanding, they had billions of dollars to work with, knowing that in the long haul, that coal energy would not be the way to go for the future. They basically burnt out of that money. And also, I don't know if you have any information on the environmental impact
uh,
that it has on the environment. Um, can you speak to some of the damage that's been done in the community and the issues that it's caused in underserved communities?
it's a damage that's irreversible, Ebony, to be honest with you, because the land in and or around anything that's dealing with Santee Cooper and its plants are dangerous in every magnitude that you can think of.
Mm.
Yes, DHEC is there to report if and to make sure that they stay within somebody's guideline of keeping the community safe. But what just with the size of the plant that we have here, um, the you can't keep up with the cleanup. So when you can't keep up with the cleanup, they release waters, and this is
Yeah.
a fact. They open their dams and release waters into our areas, and a lot of people don't know that sometimes when we have mass floodings here in Georgetown,
Yep.
that's from them opening up their dams upriver and letting way
The
to
water.
some waters, and that water is not all the time. It's not some of the time good. It's stuff that's runoff.
That's it. And from my understanding, and it's a huge issue over outside of our county. I'm talking about right literally on the county line. They're having the same issues with the water runoff in Bucksport. Uh,
Yes,
is that from the same plant or a different plant?
same. That same area. The Jamestown River is the first river that gets affected when they open up any of their waters to release. And the second body is part of the Black River that gets over inundated with water when they release. And again, with Georgetown having this unique way of these bodies of water coming into each other, they all do connect at some point, and that's not good for anybody who's on the other rivers, the Sanford, the Santee, the Waccamaw. So eventually, it's just not good for anybody that's around in and around that area.
Gotcha. So does the county have any say so and of them releasing the water and that type thing? Does the county have any kind of control over that process at all?
No, that's regulated by big energy. So if we would have our druthers, they wouldn't be in a common sense type uh, life that we live in right now. There would be no Santee Cooper nuclear site for our energy here. But that stuff is regulated through the state and more so through the federal government, that has the regulation on there.
Well, so now that this is my question. If plants like Santee Cooper are hurting us, and so we're much different than any other places. If you go to some major cities, they may have 2 or 3 companies providing electricity. So they can basically have bid out for prices, driving cost of energy lower, but we don't have that. What's the solution if that's the only electricity source that we have? Is it to bring in another company and let that one phase out? I mean, how do you do that?
That answer is yes, but the answer to it is a big political money driven situation. Santi Cooper has been able to find its way into basically monopolizing what is in this area, which is in this whole PD, Waccamaw, Georgetown area. They have been able to monopolize what they have, and if they don't get it through direct sales, they get it through the co-op. So um, they're they're in a win-win situation, and everybody else is in a lose-lose. And the mere fact that uh, they were able to see that communities are serious about them and what they do, with reference to halting the funding here in the recent past. They are now making more plans to actually come forward with the clean renewable versus staying with what they have, which is a damage and an atrocity for all of us.
It's so true. So for anyone that's joining, we appreciate you for joining today's Gathering Place, brought to you by Gullah Geechee Chamber. My name is Ebony Hughes, and I'm filling in today for Miss Marilyn until she returns. And we have our special guest here, Mr. Sheldon Butts, who is a community organizer and civic leader. He's talking with us today about some local economic development solutions, issues, and solutions. Mr. Sheldon, what's something that you just want the people to know right now about maybe some things that you're doing, some things that's going on, local and afar?
All right. Touching from a local aspect, if you recall, a few minutes ago, I talked about being able to address the first thing you need to do to address economic development is making sure that everyone has an equal footing within that development. The West End of Georgetown is a very history-rich part of Georgetown, predominantly for African Americans. And in 2004, the city of Georgetown, along with a couple of other entities, did a study to see exactly what kind of redevelopment could be done in the West End because of the separate ways that people are living going across 17.
Yes, night and day.
Absolutely night and day. So that plan was done in 2004. Unfortunately, a plan is only as good as it is executed.
That's right.
And that plan sat on a shelf for 13 years, and no one did anything with any of the recommendations. And they were good recommendations. They were timely recommendations. They were budgetary, good recommendations. And leadership basically failed us during those time frames that it sat there idly. So wow. One thing that I was able to do, and I still fight this day for, is bringing back a West End redevelopment committee. And that committee would be just like any other semi-quasi board that the city has. So just like we have a board for planning and zoning, a board for community development, a board for architectural and review board.
Right.
We will have a board for the West End plan being put back into place, so that we could again get where we need to go economically as soon as practical. So I'm looking forward to the city of Georgetown not only birthing this board, but to see it actively working in the community and being able to see the West End thrive into what I know it can be, and that's a good place for all people to live and for all people to work.
Gotcha. So is there anything that the people can do alongside with you in supporting you and other leaders like yourself in making that happen?
The people who it affects day in and day out have to show up and be a part of the process, because when they are not part of the process and the process goes forward, then it's a problem. And if it's just one thing I can get everybody who's under the sound of my voice, who are part of the West End, who want to see the West End thrive, who have their history embedded into the West End, when we start having meetings with this board, it's going to be the people who make the decisions of what we want. Then we take what we want to city council, and city council and mayor and administrator figure out how to get that happen. But if we as leaders turn around and we don't see the very people that know that this is a problem, and we don't see them behind us, it's kind of hard to actually put that into action when you're standing there by yourself. So that would be the one thing that I would.
I definitely. We need to stand together.
Yes.
It affects us all. Environmental things affect us all, including the air quality. We see it even with the paper mill. That stuff is in the air, and if we can smell it, just like this morning, I was leaving the house with my son, and the first thing was like, golly, this morning is overwhelmed. It's real stink today, And so we know that if we can smell it, we're inhaling it into our lungs also. And so with what you're saying, I will encourage our viewers, the community support leaders that are helping with community economic development, support Mr. Sheldon Butts here, and just participate, just like how he said, participate in showing up to these meetings so that you know what's going on and how it affects you, because we all pay taxes here, and we all need to be afforded a good quality of living. So participate. We have some viewers here that appreciate the info that you provided today. And so we're going to, is there any other information that you wanted to shed light on?
I skipped a part of the question that you had with reference to the steel mill and its ability to be cleaned up. Mm-hmm. Again, whatever it takes for Georgetown to be profitable and benefit everybody, it may take that steel mill going away. And if that's the case, I can assure you that it will take at least another 20 to 25 years to do the testing to see if the site is even able to be cleaned.
Yeah.
So that's part of my, I guess, the leg that I stand on when I'm supporting the steel mill, because the other option is for it to stay in a state where it can't do nothing and it won't benefit anybody. So when we have the opportunity to use it, and we have companies that could make it a viable means of living in the community, and given this COVID and given the tariffs that have been imposed on steel going in and out, we're just in trying times right now. But I feel comfortable in knowing that if we were under normal circumstances, that port would be thriving, and a whole lot of families would be benefiting from it, and their families alike. So when people think about closing it down, just put in the corner of your mind that we have to go through another couple of decades to even see and get to the point where that land is cleaned up and being able to use anything else.
Right, and viable. So we appreciate you so much, and we appreciate everyone that has joined today's gathering place, which is brought to you by the Gullah Geechee Chamber and our special guest, Mr. Sheldon Butts here, who came on today. He's a community organizer and civic leader. Thank you for joining our show today.
Thank you. Anytime. I'm ready, willing, and able. I will. Okay.
All right. We appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Educate, educate, educate.
Yes. Educate. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. So for everyone that's watching A Gathering Place, please know that our show comes on Sundays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. I will be hosting, or maybe along with someone else for Miss Marilyn. But one last note is going to be the census. If you have not completed the census yet, please go to my2020census.gov to complete the census. Right now, South Carolina numbers are way, way low. We count on those funds. We count on them because if those numbers don't go up, we could actually even lose representation through delegation. So please make sure that if you've completed, awesome. But call on other people to make sure that they've done it. And I have a number here at the bottom of the screen. You can go to 844-330-2020. Call that number and they will walk you through the census and actually do it for you. Call that number, 844-330-2020. That's really good for individuals that don't have internet access, or they may not be able to use a computer. We thank you again for joining A Gathering Place. We look forward to seeing you this Sunday at 4 p.m. Have a great day.